Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Crew Philosopher podcast. I'm your host, the Crew Philosopher here, joined by Saryn, again, back another week, or a little bit more than a week, doing a podcast. Saryn, how have you been, my friend?
I've been good. Things are starting to look up. So
Why?
I just got a job. Dang. So why? Why are things looking up?
Okay, you got a job.
I got a job. It's a work from home. Any like issues that were happening, like I said, my son's daycare issue popped up. Craziest scenario ever. You know what? No, because then it's gonna look like I'm talking about people. It was stupid. I'll just say that. He was out of daycare for a couple of days for the dumbest reason, but that's ironed out. Things are looking up. Things are good.
I'm happy to hear that things are looking up for you. For me, it has been a very frustrating week. Uh, you know, there was like a network problem at my job, so I didn't go into work for like pretty much this entire week. I'll be going in tomorrow, which is a day I'm not usually scheduled to work, but I'm not gonna just not work any hours. So it's been frustrating for me, really. I'm not, it's been frustrating. Not gonna sugarcoat it. But other than that, just thankful to be alive. Doing the
Amen.
show, getting the feedback from the audience has been very interesting.
I was
Uh,
gonna say that.
it's been very interesting. So, how has it been interesting for you?
So for me, I'm gonna just put it out there to all of y'all. I do not check the comments. I don't know why that's so hilarious to me, but I do not check the comments. I mean, when I have nothing triggered me, they definitely tickle me, especially the ones that are just like, she's so opinionated. Like we're literally here to share our opinion, guys. But um the the resharing of the two-parent household clip seems to be so far the most popular one, at least the one
Mm-hmm.
from one that I reshared, which was interesting. I don't know if it was sad, like because we know it's a touchy topic. You did say it was. What did you call it? Provocative.
It is. It's a provocative
Provocative topic.
topic. And from my perspective, it shouldn't be because it's like, to me, it's the most common sense thing in the world. But we've moved so far from uh, that being considered the standard that so many
Mm-hmm.
people, and like I said before, people push back against it if they themselves are a single parent or if they grew up in a household of a single parent, because they feel like you are disparaging them or their parent personally. And so,
Which is interesting because I'm technically a single parent. And
mhm,
I believe that a two-parent household is actually more beneficial than a single parent household, not only for the child, but also the parent.
yeah,
We all need help and we all need to be able to be well rounded in our methods of teaching and discipline. So to not have that partner, to be politically correct, to not have that other partner, it kind of throws everything off balance and you're kind of just, it's a gamble when you think about it.
it is a gamble. And I just wish people were like, if we had more conversations about two parent households and the benefits over single parent households, I don't think it would be as striking to people when they kind of heard people who were critical of the one parent household being pushed as a realistic alternative to two parent households. That was my only point for the most part, is that you can do whatever you want to do. There's a clear advantage in one of these things, and people who walk down the two parent household path, their children are going to be better off than those who don't. So that was my only point.
I didn't see anything wrong with that.
Me either. But it was, I think that was our most popular video since me and you have been doing shows together so
Yep.
far. So hey,
Even up
whatever.
until this morning, someone was just like, wrong answer. I was, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Not even sorry for me because I didn't say anything. I was like, dang, I
Uh
didn't.
yeah. So we're gonna start the show off with something a little bit different this week. Uh, a new segment called Thought of the Week, where me and Saryn, we kind of give you a thought that we had during the week that may not pertain to a current event topic, right? So, you know, maybe something that we saw and a thought popped in our head, or we might have overheard a conversation and thought that would be pretty good to bring to the podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
Saryn hit me with a good one this morning when we was doing our pre-show prep at like 10 a.m. through text. At first I thought it was dumb, but then when I thought about it, I was like, this would be a good topic. So Saryn, what was your thought of the week this week?
Well, it wasn't my thought of the week. Sorry, please excuse me. This was something that was brought up in conversation as a potentially good topic. And
Mm-hmm.
it was I guess Hispanic slash Latinos saying the N-word. And specifically being in places like, for instance, the Heights, not being able to speak English properly, but they definitely know that word and just spew it. So I brought that to you. And yes, like you said, he thought it was dumb at first. And literally 5 minutes later, wait a minute, that's actually a good topic. I personally feel like I don't like anybody saying it because as humans, we have like a sheep mentality. If enough people are doing something, everybody's going to follow just because everybody else is doing it. I think we all know that for a fact. So I know that it would take a collective effort, and it's obviously like an out of reach request. But if we, who are the ones that are deemed, I don't want to say the word because, if we are the ones that are deemed that word, the N word, if we took ownership of it in the sense of not as a term of endearment, but as a term of you're not going to use this against me because when you're using it, it sounds like it's coming from a racial point of view, like you're superior to me. Then I feel like people would eventually stop seeing like the what am I trying to say? They wouldn't see the appeal. That's what I'm trying to say. They wouldn't see the appeal in using the word because they're trying to be a part. Either they're trying to be a part of the culture, they're trying to use it as a term of endearment as well. Like here in New York, it's like, oh, it's a New York thing. That shouldn't be. I personally feel like that should not be the case. You should not be able to walk around and say it because it's a quote unquote New York thing. But then not across the board. Obviously, not every Latino or Hispanic feels this way, but we know for a fact that there are those that feel superior to the ones that they are calling the N word. So you're making faces, so you can go ahead. I'm done.
No, I was trying to understand. Are you saying that when Hispanics use when they say nigga, that they're saying it with kind of a derogatory meaning behind it, or are you saying that they use it in the context that African Americans use it, which is it's just like uh you know
I'm saying
colloquial
both.
language?
I'm saying both. The only problem is there's a thin line between love and hate. There's a thin line between endearment and racist in the sense of yeah, you could be saying it because you're comfortable in the environment that you're in, but God forbid you go around the wrong person who doesn't feel the same way, and you're not understanding of the fact that they have that set boundary and you're crossing it. You may not intend to cross it, but now you've crossed it. And then now you're both offended because you're just like, well, I didn't mean it that way, but they're taking it a different way. So I personally feel like it's one of those things that should just be thrown out altogether to avoid this even being a topic, honestly. But
Thrown
like
out
I said, that's
altogether,
a
even amongst Black people, right?
yes.
Okay, so
Personally, yes.
yeah, so my thoughts on the N word have always been not always, but as of I don't say nigga like in my day to day.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the word that I use. Now, when we talk about the word nigga, I say the word. I feel like saying
Mm-hmm.
N word is just the word exists, so we can say the word.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Black people who get upset when other groups of people say nigga, to me, I'm perplexed by look. I understand why they get upset. I just don't understand why they think things should be different. If that makes sense, like
Expound.
you'll have black people who believe that only blacks should be able to say the word nigga because you know it's our word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you kind of take a word that used to be a racial slur, you quote unquote reclaim the word, you put the word in all of your music, you put the word in all of your TV shows, you put the word in all of the movies that
Mm-hmm.
all of those forms of entertainment. So, excuse me, all of those forms of entertainment are then exported to the masses. Everyone is digesting this as, oh, this is kind of, you know, a cool slang to use. It becomes
Right.
slang instead of a racial slur.
Right.
And so when we have this thing, well, because I've heard black people who have an issue with Hispanics saying the word nigga, and they'll say, well, we don't, use the word right. We
It
out here
just
saying,
carry the same weight.
but exactly these other demographics are not trying to repurpose their slurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so you
Exactly.
can't compare the use of the word nigga by other groups who are not black to the reverse because they are not trying to repurpose their own racial slur. We are.
You know what's funny too? As you're like breaking this down, I'm thinking about the whole Erica Mena situation,
Mm-hmm.
and I find it funny or interesting, rather, not funny. I find it interesting that that is the only term, racial slur, that has been turned into a term of endearment. Not
Yeah, nothing else.
not
Not
a single
not
word else.
yeah, not not
Even only like pertaining to us. Like think about the word monkey. Like to this day we've been called monkeys for however long, but to this day it still carries some type of weight. But the only word that seems to be like on the fence is that word. I just can't say it. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Me personally, I don't use it.
I know what you're
uh
saying. I think we should get rid of the word. I don't think it's a term of, it's a term of endearment really. And I used to say nigga uh all the time in high school, even when I first got to college, maybe what?
are we agreeing on something for people to hear?
Well, yeah, but this is an obvious point though. Yeah, I feel like you have to be a moron to disagree with this. Like
Oh
you,
dang.
like I used to use the word all the time, but I always was uncomfortable with using the word in certain settings, which so many people aren't. Like I wouldn't use the word in front of old people. I wouldn't use the word like if I was on public transportation in front of
Oof.
like white people. So I think somewhere deep down I wouldn't use it at home really. Uh so
Get smacked up.
I think I never really believed in the repurposing of the word. So my use of the word in high school, in my early years, my teenage years, was just the word just had no meaning to me. It was just kind
Mm.
of a slang. It was just, and you just use the word, and that's kind of how you refer to people. But I think it's ridiculous to get mad at Hispanics for saying nigga. If like either you repurposed the word or you didn't. Like
Yeah.
if you repurposed it and it is a term of endearment, then I don't understand why you would be offended if somebody else used the word who is non-black. If according to
Mm-hmm.
you, the word doesn't mean anything as pertains to black people anymore. It just means my friend.
Right.
If you truly believe that, what is the uproar about? You don't believe that. You believe deep down somewhere that you shouldn't use the word. And I'll tell you something else. Something else. The obsession over ownership of that word
Mm.
is due to the fact that it is the one thing black people think we can own because we don't think we can own anything else.
Ooh, wow, that's deep. I agree
That
with you.
yeah,
I
that's
agree
my
with you.
suspicion. Is
That's big.
it's
Wow.
yeah, it's there's this obsession of owning the word because we don't believe deep down as a collective group of people that we could ever really own anything else. We can't own an industry. We can't own, certain networks. We can't
Mm-hmm.
own anything, buildings, real estate, but we can own this word. And so I feel like if
And
we
even
believe we
that,
can own other things, we wouldn't give a fuck about this word.
I like that point. I
So
can't. I'm right there with you. That
that's how I feel.
honestly, yeah, nothing else to be said on
Yeah,
it.
that's how that's how I feel. Uh, Now, are there contexts where, because I've heard Asians use the N word, I've heard white people use the N word. I never get upset, really. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. But let me stop. It slightly annoys me, but
Mhm.
it never gets me out of character or anything, because once again, we have given license to everyone to use the word. Like, what do these people think happens when these rap shows, which are 90% white, and these rappers got, nigga all through the song? You be hearing the crowd recite the lyrics? Those ain't black
Mhm.
people. Those ain't black. What do y'all think is happening?
That's so
Like,
bad.
let's be for real here. I just don't understand the way people look at this. Now, do I think there are exceptions where the word can be used by someone who is non-black? And this is a dangerous topic. You ever heard of race play?
You don't mean like foreplay, but with race in it?
So now race play is more so of kind of, engaging in sex where you kind of
You're
role
embodying
play
another
certain
race.
racial stereotypes and stuff. Like, for example, you're with like a white girl, and like you'll pretend to be her slave.
I've heard,
Or
yeah, I've seen like the viral posts and the stories and the
yeah, so
stupid photos, and people go to like plantations and they be doing the most.
now
That's
that, yeah,
like
so that's like an extreme. Usually what I'm talking about is just strictly like bedroom. So you're not going to like a plantation with sugar canes around, and running through running through the fields. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm, I'm talking about like just race
running
play.
through the fields over.
Yeah, like sugar cane
Sorry.
and tobacco and cotton. That's no. I'm not talking about that. I just spat. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just normal race play will be like, you're interracial couple, and black dude, white girl, and the black dude will ask the white girl to call him a nigga, but with like the hard er, right?
I feel like if you're okay with that, I'm questioning how you really view me.
Really?
Yes,
So hold on,
because
you think if a black man is in a relationship with a white woman and he wants to engage in race play, and he asks her to call him a during sex, you
something
think
wrong
he
with
should
both of them. But I'm just saying, like, so
wait,
because
so
why are you gung ho for your white wife, girlfriend, whomever to call you and nigga with a hard R?
so
I'm saying like something wrong with you, and then for her to be like, yes, yes, Jamal, get down on your
boy,
knees.
you know what's
Like
crazy?
what?
Whenever these little race scenarios come up, they always name him Jamal. His name is always his name is always Jamal. I don't know what a
Dante,
Jamal.
Dion, I don't know. I'm not calling him Billy because like that just don't sound right.
Is always Jamal. But here's the thing, though. I understand what you're saying, but don't you think, it's because of the racialized history of this country,
Mm-hmm.
we have kind of these things get deep into our psyche. Like
Mm-hmm.
the number one, so a very popular category of porn is like cuckolding, and within that category, one of the most popular, you know, subgenres of cuckolding is like interracial, and that almost always means black man, white woman. And then
Yes.
you have it where right, and so
Yes, I know the categories.
Yeah, yeah. So these, it's hard for me to know what you know because you're like a very wholesome person. So I don't want to drag you into my
I mean,
filth.
my eyes work. Oh Jesus, yes.
But
Let's not do that. Let's
but what I was saying, the point that I'm making is, so you think that, because I don't think that is problematic in and of itself, like race play, any more than various other things. Like race.
nobody.
No, I
I
don't.
mean, cruel, whatever you
Why
want to
is
do.
race play that much more disturbing than BDSM or
They're
uh
both disturbing. What is wrong with you? To
yes,
me,
I don't find it disturbing. Like if people want to
oh my
engage,
god.
no, well, hold on. I don't mean I
No,
want
no,
to
no, no,
engage in these
no.
behaviors. That's not,
Uh-uh.
I want to be clear.
What's behind that separator?
I don't,
What is
I
behind?
want to be clear. This is not me saying I personally want to be in these type of relationships.
Yes, he does.
However, I think people like, where do you draw the line between what is considered normal sexual, behavior and abnormal? Serious question.
That
Because
is
I'm sure there are
dependent on
things that which you enjoy and engage with, and you gotta get into it. But I'm sure that there are things that you engage with that I might find disturbing.
I highly doubt that. But
Okay, let me give an
regardless.
example.
Mm-hmm.
100 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
fellatio and cunnilingus, which is just the
Yes, we know. Oh my goodness. If they don't know what that is, get a dictionary.
I'm just saying these were considered, at least publicly, abnormal behavior. I
I
mean,
mean, it
they
shouldn't
were.
be done publicly.
No, but what I'm saying. It's like in the public consciousness, because people could have been lying and then at home doing what they do. I'm just saying, but
I'm
we don't talk
sure.
about it the way now that we did back then. Now it's almost expected. If you get in a relationship with a man or a woman, that
Hmm.
those are part of the duty, so to speak, and that was not the case before. And so we've seen a sexual behavior kind of become, you know,
I wouldn't say that
normal.
wasn't the case before. It was like you said, it's probably always been done. We just didn't know about it. Probably, I would probably say the feminist movement
I don't know.
because of the fact. Go ahead.
But you understand what I'm saying though, that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was a practice that was viewed as peculiar, you know. It was
Peculiar to
spoken
talk
about,
about.
written about, as I'm saying.
Hmm.
It was,
Hmm.
yeah. So but now that's not the case. There has been a change in the attitudes towards that particular action. So what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
that might, why could that not be the case for, I would argue it is, for BDSM play, or these, like, what makes those disturbing, and you know fellatio and
It's
cunnilingus normal, so to speak.
I mean, fellatio and cunnilingus isn't potentially chopping off limbs and ending your life.
Yeah, but you don't do that. Come on now, you don't, like, you don't do that. BDSM most of the time is like getting spanked, uh putting on collars. Now once again,
There's a level of vulnerability
it's
that
true.
BDSM carries well, I mean, fellatio and
Yes, it
cunnilingus is
does.
still vulnerable. Yes,
Yes.
I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
However, it's not teetering on dangerous. Because
But
if you got whips and chains and bound and gagged, oh my God, that sounds like torture. Like literally. And then what if the person goes too far?
true, but you have the same, not the same, but like, sex in general requires a certain level of trust, and because you can always be harmed during sex, especially as a woman, right? Like, as a woman
Mhm.
having sex with a man, you are always in danger,
That's a fact.
always in danger,
That is a
right?
fact.
As a man, there's a certain level of danger with certain activities, and
Hmm.
you kind of use your imagination, right?
Hmm.
So there's always a level of trust that you have to have in an encounter. I just think it's weird how we view certain things as normal, even things that weren't normal or considered normal 100 years ago. But it's kind of this, oh, you, but you like to get spanked with a paddle? Oh, you a freak?
Everything is abnormal until it's normalized.
True. And the
So
race play, just kind of tying it back is, I feel like that is a scenario in which the N word, you can get a pass.
I'm, I'm, I'm mad we went on this whole tangent just for you.
I know.
Just for you to wrap it up with.
Yeah. I feel like
You
if
can get a
you are
pass.
engaging in a race play, I think it is okay for that white woman to call
You can't
you
even say it.
the N word. Yeah.
For you.
Now I think it's wrong the other way around though. If you're a black woman letting a white man call you the N word, that's just foul. But I do think,
Here
if
we
you're a
go.
black man,
Here we go. Here we go. And I'm not even a feminist, but come on now. How you sound. It's okay for a white woman to technically, in a sense, some people would view that as emasculate a black man and call
but
him
it's
that.
not, because you are in control.
You're not
Right?
in control
That's
because
true.
she if it was how many years ago? 200 plus years ago, she would own you
Yeah.
as a woman who is technically inferior to you.
True, but there was a book that I read, and we can move on from the topic. It was called White Women, Black Men, or Black Men, White Women. One of those two. Fascinating book. It explored the relationship between black men and white women in the antebellum South.
Why is that
Fascinating.
so fascinating? Something's
No, it
wrong
is
with
fascinating.
society.
Huh?
Just passing thought that some the things that we harp on, it's the that could be another topic for another day. The whole acceptance or of like black men, white women, and it being, let me not say acceptance, the issue with black men, white women, but the acceptance of black woman, white male.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a whole nother topic.
yeah. But a good book though. And so yeah, don't be ashamed, ladies, white women, if you engage in, the race play.
Just
Um,
don't tell us. Thank you. Don't need to know. Don't go into crowded places thinking that you can treat the rest of them like that. That is between you and your partner.
that
Do
is
not
true.
get stomped out.
Gotcha.
Amen.
Now, Brittany Renner's body count. Let's get
Dear
into
God.
it. Let's get into the topics for this week. This happened yesterday, I think. Shannon Sharp has a podcast, Club Shay Shay, and he had on Brittany Renner. She's like this woman. I think she used to do like fitness videos first, but she's popular because she's slim girl, fat ass, nice waist. And she's popular. And she's been linked up with, different athletes and rappers, etc. So she was
Mm-hmm.
on a podcast and she revealed to Shannon Sharp that she has slept with 35 men. And the clip went viral. People were giving their opinions. Is that a lot? Is that not really a lot? And I think the body count conversation is, it's a pointless conversation to have in real life. Now, I'm not saying that body count is not important, because it actually is important. But the
Mm-hmm.
conversation, I just don't think will ever be fruitful.
There we go. There we go.
So,
Yes.
like, asking a woman how many men she has slept with, as a man, you have to know you're never going to get a real answer that you believe. So
Ooh.
you see a woman, she's fairly attractive. You guys are 30, right? Like, Brittany Renner is 35. And you ask her how many men she slept with. She says, I've only been with like 5 people. She could be telling the truth, but you probably wouldn't believe her. You would assume, oh no, you 35. You look how you look. Of course you fuck one of 5 people. So she tells you an answer. It's too low, so you don't believe her. If she tells you a number that's high, it is too high. Now you view her as a hoe,
Mm-hmm.
which gives women an incentive, if they've slept with a lot of guys, to lie to you and lower the number, which then, leads to men not believing what women say, regardless of what the number is that they give us. You get that rule, oh, if she tells you times about 3 or whatever, some stupid stuff like that. And so my thing is, if no one's going to believe the answers to these body count questions, why even ask?
I find it funny that there's like a mathematical rule
Yeah, there is. There
for
is. I
that
used to
is
know it too,
that's
but
dumb.
it's been some time.
That is dumb. I just
I
want to put that
agree.
out there. That's actually dumb.
I agree.
And I find it interesting that you said the typical that if it were five, no, looking how you look, there's no way.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. That's interesting only in the sense of hear me out because it's so popular now that I guess it's kind of teetering on scamming. You can look how you look, quote unquote, look how you look, and be able to get over on a person without
Mm-hmm.
having to do next to anything. So technically, depending on the person, obviously it doesn't apply to across the board. We all know for majority, you still have to do something. You gotta put out something. But there is that slim few that don't have to do much. So that thought just popped in my head when you said that. But 35 bodies, 35 soul ties and counting. Does she have a soul left? I really do pray for sis. It's a sad, sad tale because that's a whole lot of, and I'm speaking from the spiritual aspect. That's a lot to deal with. Like you really, what's left? What's left
Mm-hmm.
to give? And that kind of ties into the conversation of um I hear like the running rhetoric, especially with women who are the Brittany Renners of the world. By the time you're ready to settle down, by the time you're ready to actually be like a wife or to someone, there's nobody around, or you have to settle because you. I don't want to say you've been ran through. I'm gonna say spiritually you've been ran through,
Mm-hmm.
and now like it's almost like you're broken. This is kind of sad. It's making me a little sad.
Yeah. Well, number one, all of you settle. So let's be clear. Now, number two, though, uh,
I'm not even gonna argue that.
it's true.
I
All of
can't
you
argue
settle.
that. I
Yeah.
can't argue that because if
So
I could get the man that I wanted,
you have them.
then exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. So I'm
boom.
glad you accepted the truth that many women just deny. Now,
All right, moving on.
number two, when I said earlier that body count discussion is pointless, but it's not totally irrelevant, you brought up a point that is actually backed up by data that I wanted to give to the audience, which is uh the link between premarital sex and divorce.
Oof.
And there have been a bunch of studies on this, which basically shows compared to people with no premarital partners other than eventual spouses, those with 9 or more partners exhibit the highest divorce risk, followed by those with 1 to 8 partners, and there is no evidence of gender differences. So, if I just broke this down, this means people with no premarital partners other than eventual spouses have the lowest rate of divorce. The highest are people with 9 or more partners. Second highest, people with 1 to 8 partners.
Where was the study conducted? How long
This
ago?
I'll put it right in. This is 2023. I just put it in the chat so you can take a look. Though I doubt you'll be able to read the full paper. It's a pretty long paper, but it is worth the read. They break it down by religious ties and birth order, and it's pretty interesting. Race, of course, which
Hmm.
black people have the most sex, highest number of sexual partners before marriage. We also have the highest levels of divorce. Um,
Do
so yeah.
you ever
So
wonder like why that is?
what do you mean? Why? What is
When you said that black people have the highest level, not level, the highest amount of partners.
before marriage?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's obvious. We have one of the lowest marriage rates, if not the lowest. So if you have the lowest marriage rates, this means you are going a lot of your adulthood having multiple relationships.
I will admit I didn't think about that. So
Yeah. So if other men and women get married late 20s, early 30s, but black men and
Mhm.
women get married late 30s, early 40s, or whatever, then yeah, you can have more sexual partners. And according to this study and other studies, this increases the more sexual partners you have, it increases the likelihood that you will eventually divorce. And I have to say, this is not shocking at all. Whether the relationship is correlative or uh is correlative the word, whether this is a correlation or a causation, it doesn't matter to me. If it's a correlation, it could be something as simple as people who have a lot of sexual partners are also people who struggle with monogamous relationships. And so these people will be bad fits for marriage. If it's causation, it means
Mhm.
that as you have multiple sexual partners, you uh, make it less likely that you will be satisfied to have sex with the same person over a long period of time, thus increasing the likelihood of an affair or something, thus increasing the likelihood that you get divorced. Either one of these things, I can see
I
perfectly.
can never be satisfied. Sorry.
Yeah, I can see either one of these perfectly. So the body count discourse, I just think like guys, you're not gonna believe her if the number is too low, if it's too high, you're gonna run away. All you have to do is look for the whole vibes. That's all you want to look for.
Oh, please give me the list because I feel like you sound prepared. What are the whole vibes?
So the whole vibes is kind of, you don't ask a woman her body count, you don't ask around because why would people around you be honest? And also people be hating too. What you want to
True.
look for is if she kind of has the essence of a harlot, right? That's what we're looking for.
I just pictured a Scarlet A
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
coming to like slowly rising to the top.
We're looking to see if she has the essence of a harlot, if she possesses that Jezebel spirit. That's what you're really looking for. And so, you want to go through her social media, right? Does she constantly talk about, dick all day long, and you know, retweeting videos of people having sex, things of that nature. If she is, this is someone who has a pretty high sexual appetite, uh, and she's probably out here, you know, sitting on some penises.
Oh, multiple.
Yeah.
Because it's
Instagram.
a bad
What type of
image.
pictures does she take? Are all of her pictures with her ass to the screen, even when she's at work? The bathroom pic where they sit on the sink so that they arches the right way when they take the picture.
Can I just make a point about that? If you do that, I need you to stop because are watching.
True,
Not
yeah,
only the job that you're at, but potential jobs. Stop doing that. It's not cute. One, because it's thirsty, and two, you need to be more concerned about your professional career.
yeah.
Sorry, moving on.
Now I appreciate him though, so let's separate me from Saryn. I
Yeah,
appreciate
but
him.
you not paying them. You
No, I
401k
agree.
of the
So she's right.
of
Yeah,
cruel
she's right about your life, but
IRA
just
of
know,
philosopher.
yeah, the streets appreciate it. Now,
The streets ain't paying her bills.
now I agree. I said she should listen to you, but just know she don't. That we appreciate it. Now, also,
Ridiculous.
so you're looking for if you're taking a lot of sexy pics on Instagram, a lot of like just if she's taking a lot of pictures that as a man are being taken to elicit lust from men,
Ooh.
she has a whole spirit, right? So if she's tweeting about dick all the time, retweeting videos of sex, taking pictures to elicit lust, she
Yeah.
has a whole spirit. Now, in the street, there is a hoe walk, and every man knows the hoe walk. It's hard to describe, but when you
Oh
see it,
no, let's do this. Let's
no, it's just
shout out. hold on. Shout out to Miss Raju and Mr. Daly because I wanted to say that earlier from the mess up of what'd you say correlative.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
And
that
now
in the word.
let's paint a picture for the audience.
But it's
Let's
hard
do
for me to
it.
describe though. It's
I
like
believe in you.
it's there's a certain walk that a woman has where like she has that whole spirit. It's like the ass really pokes in in a way where it's like, oh no, like you want me to notice you. uh they take small steps. uh yeah,
Really?
I think it's because when you walk your butt jiggles, so I think they take
Mhm.
smaller steps so that it jiggles more as they walk. um
Yeah, that's actually factual because
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
picturing it.
yeah. Like I said, it's hard for me to describe, but all the men that are watching this video or listening, you know what I'm talking about. The whole walk where you can look at a
It's kind
woman.
of like you're disabled in a sense, but not really. Like you can't really bend your knees, kind of, sort of.
Well, you
You're
talking about
carrying a
bow
lot of
legged.
weight. No, 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 no. But I'm trying to help you describe it. So, because I'm
Okay.
picturing like a big booty woman, right?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
It's an authentic, organic, real, straight from the mother. Well, not motherland, but for everybody. But we're gonna talk about motherland. Straight from the motherland, curated
Yeah.
generations of soul food
Hmm.
and I don't know, twerking. Let's just throw that in there. Whatever. A real big booty woman has thick thighs,
Yes.
and sometimes, not all the time, a little canklage, little canklage,
What is that? What is that?
cankles, like there's a little thicker around the
Okay, got you.
ankles.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So, in my experience, just
Hmm.
walking down the street, you see them walking a little bit. Like you said, they do take smaller steps.
Small
I have
steps.
to, I have to admit,
You told you small steps.
because I'm tall and skinny, and my stride is long.
Yeah, yeah.
I be trying to get where I'm going. So I don't have that. I also don't have a big butt. I don't have any of that going on. So when I see it, it does make me chuckle because they do kind of walk like they can't bend the knees
You know
and
what it is
they
like?
like it's difficult to walk.
They walk like pigeons.
Boom.
That's it. Yes.
Yes,
They walk
that
like
is
birds. Yeah.
it.
They walk like
That's why we call some of them
yeah.
birds
They walk like
here in New
pigeons.
York.
Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. Every man, if you're a black dude who lives in the hood, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The whole walk. It's like, yeah, it's like a big bird, you
Almost
know.
like a penguin. I'm
Yeah,
picturing the penguin.
yeah, they strutting it. Yeah, it's like they want you to look at that ass. They want you to look. They do it for a reason. So
But what if
that's
they're
what.
not? What if that's just how they walk?
Then she is cursed with the whole walk, even though she is herself is not a harlot. But you look for these things because if you care about body count, and I think if you want a marriage, it is important as a guy, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not getting married, none of this really matters.
Mhm.
Cool. But if you want a long-term marriage, you know for a fact that we have data that suggests the more sexual partners that she has, and you, by the way, that's another thing. If you're a guy who wants to get married, you can't be out here running through everything.
Oof.
You're not going to be able to stop cold. Like, why do people think they can just be run through or do running through and then stop
Mhm.
cold turkey and get into a relationship for 20, 30 years?
Don't people argue that they get tired of living that lifestyle and that's why they decide to finally settle
But
down?
most people don't live that lifestyle. Like 35 is a pretty, like the study said, 9 or more, right?
Hmm.
Most people lose their virginity around 17, 18 years
Yes.
old,
Yep.
right? To have sex with 9 or more people, you are pretty much having sex with a different person every year until you're 30. From 18, so it's not exactly 30. It's not exactly you don't hit 30 30 on the dot, but if you start having sex at 17, you're like 27 if you had 9 sexual partners. That means you was having sex with no relationships at all. But like it
Dang, not
means
at
you
all.
have, huh?
I said, dang, not at all.
You know what I'm saying? If you end up having sex with 9 or more people by the age of 30, that means if you lost your virginity at 18, 17, it means you've had very few long-term partners.
Yeah, I can't argue that. That
So
yeah,
why do
that makes
people
sense.
expect to not have any long-term partners and then suddenly I'm gonna get into a marriage? Like that is very difficult to do, especially if you have entertained that many people.
Honestly, that's a conversation we would have to have with someone who's done it. Maybe multiple.
What do you mean with someone who's done it?
Because neither one of us have gone through that. So if
Gone through
well,
what?
to my knowledge, neither one of us have lived that life experience where it's just like, you are a hoe or a playboy and you kind of run through and then all of a sudden you decide, not all of a sudden, but eventually you decide that's no longer what you want to do and you settle down and you're committed to one person. I've heard of it. I don't know anybody,
I'm
but
sure it happens, but we're just talking about like just statistics, data, the like
you know how I
studies.
feel about statistics and data. They're
I got
very,
you, but the problem is they actually don't vary that much. Uh, you know, people choose. You can choose not to believe it or not. That's fine,
it's
but
not about believing it or not. It's about the fact that it will never be all inclusive because you cannot take you cannot give everybody on this earth the same test at the same time. And we're not all in the same central location. We all don't have the same ideologies or thought processes or lived experiences. So statistics and data, they're nice to have and they do keep some sort of structure, but they can be just as flimsy as opinions.
I
Sorry.
totally disagree. I
That's
don't
fine.
need. I will never walk outside with a metal pole stuck in the air during a lightning storm.
I mean, duh.
No, I don't. You say duh, but once again, like I'm kind of going off of studies and information. I personally never known anybody that got struck by lightning.
Hmm.
For
I mean,
I've never.
didn't was it Ben Edison? Who
Well, I
was
mean, you're
it?
talking about Benjamin Franklin. There was no Ben
Thank
Edison.
you.
So
You're right. I mixed up. I put two names together. You are correct. You're right. That's Ben. I was thinking Con Edison and then Benjamin, and it said Ben Edison like a dummy.
but yeah, so like I don't need to personally know somebody who's going through anything if I have like some data information. All I need is somebody to say, hey, if you go outside with a metal rod in the air during a lightning storm, you increase the likelihood that you're gonna get struck by lightning. That's enough for me. And I'm not saying the data that I just gave out about number of marriage partners and the likelihood of divorce if you get married. I'm not saying this is a one to this is definitely going to happen. That's not how like data and information works. All it means is the risks go up. So live the life you want to live. Whoever's watching or listening, but just like I say all the time, there's always consequences to everything you do.
That's true.
Everything. Like I wonder all the time if I have the capacity to be with one woman till I die. I don't want your commentary. I was I imagine I think about it all the time because I just love like women,
I
just
know.
just so it's just hard for me to wrap my mind around. Uh and I think one other problem that comes up is because our culture is very, very uh you
Spin
know,
around.
no, it's we are a monogamous culture. Even today, we're
We
not
are?
as yes, even today we
Okay.
don't really there's not too many movies and TV shows with polyamorous couples or that stuff going on. It is still very much one person for people. I think people who kind of have a different appetite, they don't know that they have other options.
I feel like I'm seeing an uptick in not so much polyamorous, but no relationship whatsoever, and just doing what you want.
That's now recently.
That's why I
And
said an
no,
uptick.
I'm saying, so that's starting now recently, but also that's not even, no relationship is different than multiple relationships, or you know, the idea of being with more than one person at the same time, or
Yeah, I
um
wasn't disagreeing. I'm simply saying I don't.
yeah,
I see us diverting from monogamous to simply just, I don't want to say free balling it, but just being out here doing what you want.
yeah. So just don't ask body count questions. It's just not going to lead anywhere really positive for you. Uh, and I, like I said, I just think, men, look, we just kind of have to take a risk. This is a
That's really
new,
all it is.
this is a new world we live in, fellas. There's no way to determine anything. You just have to use your third eye,
Oh my
and when you get
lord.
married, there's hope that you find somebody that is good to you, because marriage
Um,
is a risk.
I'm gonna say, first of all it is, you can keep that. I believe in living a certain lifestyle, which includes vetting the person. Yes, find out as much as possible. Don't just jump into it with them. I'm also Christian in the sense of like, if possible, not if possible, I believe in being equally yoked.
Oh Lord.
And you go, oh Lord, all you want.
No. But y'all
Because
use that. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know about other
I
people
got
using
time
it.
today. Go ahead.
However, that's perfectly
No,
fine.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I got about an hour. Anywho, both I don't know how other people use it, but I'm speaking for myself, especially because I've lived through it. I have certain experiences. If there are things that you are not willing to bend on, don't bend because this person is charismatic or because they're pretty or they're handsome, or it's almost like they're 50% almost, like for me, they don't go to church, but they believe that church exists, or they don't believe that Jesus is our savior. They just believe that God created everything. If you have, and that's just my examples, it could be anything. If you have set boundaries and you know exactly what you go for and what you don't go for, don't make exceptions. And then you won't have to deal with taking certain risks. I'm not saying it's never a risk, but certain risks I believe can be avoided. That's all I'm saying. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with anything. um and also counseling, it you don't have to be Christian, it doesn't have to be church counseling, but talk to somebody that you both say that, we trust this person, we want to be able to get to the root of our issues, make sure there's no trauma issues that you're bringing in. And I'm sorry, I want to revisit that whole like checking her Instagram and whatnot. Don't I'm sorry, but that can't be, not you, Jabba, not you, but like to people listening, don't let that be your end all be all, because people like to masquerade. That's the whole point in having a social media profile, is to
Wait,
put out
what do you mean?
what do you mean? What do I mean? Don't put your social media profile is not who you are to a T. I could easily
Oh, I agree.
masquerade as an OnlyFans model, and that's not nowhere near the lifestyle that I live. But because I'm trying to portray something, so I'm just saying, like, remember that shouldn't be like a top tier thing to define. Obviously, if it's all the way to the left and she's reposting certain stuff all the time, then like you should know what you getting. Like the examples that you gave, oh, that's pretty pretty extreme.
But who would want to be with somebody who masquerades as a harlot?
That's what I'm saying. You never know if that's just an example. Somebody could be a harlot. Why are we using this word? It's not
Oh, I know what you mean. You
freaking.
mean somebody could be trying to put out a wholesome image, and
No, no,
then
no, no, no. Because some people are actually they're not really about that life, but because they're trying to portray a certain type of lifestyle in order to, I don't know if it could be for business partnerships or sponsorships, or you're trying to make it seem out of peer pressure. Like remember in high school, like you even said that you didn't feel comfortable using the N word. But I don't know for you specifically, but say for example, like me personally, I'll use myself as an example. Growing up, like I would say it out of peer pressure. or feeling uncomfortable, I'm the only one not saying it. So why not just say it? But it's just like, that's not really how I feel. That's not really what I want to do. I don't really actually support that. So it could either be your, why are we using this word?
What do you mean?
Harlot.
No,
You could be
use what word you want to use. I'm just confused because I don't see it. I don't understand why you're saying as a guy don't view what you see on her Instagram as the end all be all, which I agree, but I just don't
mm-hmm.
understand why if a woman in her personal life is not um loose, but everything on her Instagram is loose, I don't know why you
Mm-hmm.
would not. I would encourage guys to treat her out, treat to move as if she was how she portrayed herself. Me
I'm
personally,
simply saying, like, I'm not disagreeing with you. It was just a random example. I'm simply saying, like, you should, okay, but maybe a bad example. Just if I don't even encourage meeting somebody online and letting that be it. Like, get to know the actual person. Don't just see this persona of them and assume like that's it. Like,
I
actually
agree.
speak to the person and maybe
Well,
go
this is
out
where
on
we.
actual dates, that type of thing. See what their lifestyle actually is like.
I don't know, man. I, because it's you can only talk to but so many people. So,
Why?
oh, because talking to people takes time and energy. Like it's not just
You're
having,
also a self-proclaimed lazy person.
but even outside of me, like getting to know people is emotional. Like one of the things with like the dating apps and stuff is how draining it is. You know, people are complaining about it. It's just draining, and so we
It's,
think of like the consequences of having sex with multiple people is like it's draining of your soul, which I agree with. But just having like those getting to know people on an intimate level, even with no sex,
mm-hmm.
has a certain level of draining and taking up your mental space as well. So I just don't think if you're a guy and you see a woman who has a Instagram and she's out there, person thirst traps all the time, and you are the type of guy who doesn't want that type of woman. Like you only want a wholesome woman. I don't think you should try to get to know her to see if she's the opposite of her Instagram uh presentation. I think you should find somebody who is portraying uh
But even
uh
like we both agree, even with that, like that could be a waste of your time because it's a masquerade. And thing I had a disagreement. Whatever, I don't care anymore. Um oh, the emotional attachment to like dating apps and whatnot. I could have swore, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought men's whole spiel was that they're not emotional. So, and me personally, I feel like it's okay to have like a set of questions, like a standard five when you're like approaching someone, especially online. And if they don't check off, then just move on. That way you're not establishing an emotional connection with someone and wasting your time.
yeah, that I agree. Um
Wow.
yeah, I agree on like the dating app thing. Yeah, I agree. You said something about being equally yoked, and first of all, I want to let the audience know Christians are terrible at picking partners. Like terrible all the time. Um I am someone who I go to church. I grew up in church. I mean, front, back, side to side, up, down, all around. And the equally yoked scripture is used a lot, or that term is used a lot. You would agree?
Improperly, yes.
Totally agree. I don't think people know what to even look for as it pertains to equally yoked. I think equally yoked, if you're not someone who is a Christian, because it's a term now that has made its way to like the secular world. You hear people use the word all the time, and they try to
Mm-hmm.
kind of use it uh in the context of look for someone who has what you have secularly. That's how they use it. Most of the time that I've heard somebody use it who is using it just outside of a biblical perspective. That's the
Mm-hmm.
context that they're using it, and that is not what the scripture is talking about.
At
So
all.
yeah, like scripturally, it's talking about finding someone in which you can almost become one, uh, which is totally different than finding someone who has what you have, which is a very materialistic, uh, and I just think short-sighted way to view things. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I just wanted to throw that out there because when people hear it, they're not going to hear, or unless they're a Christian, they won't view
Mm-hmm.
it the way you meant it. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
view it the way it's used in modern
Society.
culture,
Yeah.
which I'm like, it's almost, how does this even bleed over to y'all? Like, why are you using this term? It just irks my. I heard Melissa Ford use the word on the Joe Budden podcast a couple weeks ago, and I was like, this is not what like what
Wait,
she was
how did
describing.
mm-hmm.
They were talking about the Tyler Perry thing. Remember the clip? And
Oh man.
she said that equally yoked, and they were talking about finances, and I was like, this is not what the verse is about. It's not talking about finding somebody who makes as much money as you, or finding somebody. That's not what it's about. And so
Mm-hmm.
it just irks my nerve when I hear people use the term equally yoked who are not Christians. I'm like, that's not what the verse means.
Should we divulge on what it means? Well, I don't know if we have time.
Well, yeah, it's just about that what was it, a Corinthians verse, um,
I'll look it up real quick.
where it's I'm sure it's mentioned multiple times. Is it mentioned multiple times in the Bible, or is it just no? I think it's the Second Corinthians verse. Yeah, it's Second Corinthians, the 6th chapter, 14th to 18th verse.
Well,
Be
look at you.
ye. Well, I mean, I'll Google that. Be ye. That was off the dome.
I was about to say,
That was off the dome.
oh.
Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers.
Mm-hmm.
Again, be ye not equally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? Again, this verse is about becoming one, instructing the Israelites, I believe it was the Israelites,
Oh, the Corinthians, because they're
Corinth, yes. The Corinthians, aren't they Israelites? Whatever. So
he's
God was
addressing
just,
the Corinthians in Greece.
yeah, pretty much instructing that followers of God, believers, should not be forming unions with people who do not believe in God, who do not follow the commandments, who do not uphold the tenets
Yes.
of Christianity. It has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with somebody on my level, somebody with my education. It is a very spiritual term about you should not join yourself with people who are not of the same belief as you, because the two can't go together.
Amen.
So that's what it means.
Come on, preacher.
And I'm tired of you heathens using the
Oh,
term.
okay. Let's not do that now. Let's reel it on in.
Using the term incorrectly. Please leave it alone. Leave it alone. Just say you want somebody who got money, ladies. Stop saying I want somebody equally yoked. And fellas, stop saying I want somebody equally yoked. Just say you want a woman who
Cook
uh
and clean and
cook
do
and clean,
everything without
exactly, all that sort of
asking.
stuff. Yeah. Stop it. So
Stop
yes, that's what it
it.
means. Um,
Amen. That
yeah,
was
and
good.
we're at the hour. We are at the hour.
We
This was
are.
a good show here. Um, I might give myself a backing organ for my last piece of the. I'm playing.
You should. No, you should.
No,
Because
no,
I
no.
know when I repost it, I'm definitely looking. I'm definitely looking for a sound.
but but man, it's important. I'm telling y'all, it's very important. There's a lot of relationship conversations happening these days, and look, man, if you find somebody, quick before we leave, I want to ask you a question because you've been married before, and I want to ask you,
Mhm.
I'm assuming you weren't in love with this man.
You said weren't or
I'm assuming
was?
you were in love with this
Oh,
person.
yes.
You gotta ask these days.
No, that's true.
You gotta ask.
That is
So
true.
I want to ask you, what is love exactly? Because somebody asked me before if I was ever in love, and I thought about it, and I was like, I don't think so.
Hmm.
Um, and so, what is it from your vantage point? Like, if somebody asked you, "Hey, how did you know you were in love?" What would you say that you felt differently for the person you were with versus the men you were with before him?
Do you want to know what I thought then or what I think now?
Maybe both.
Okay. Let me. mm.
No, it's kind of a heavy question to just drop at the end of
It,
the podcast.
yeah. I'm just like, okay, let me gather my thoughts then.
Because
Well,
if you need more context to like what I'm trying to get to is just because I'm trying to figure out what that feeling is if I feel it. Because I've liked women, of course, right?
mhm.
So I know what it feels like to be attracted to somebody, right? It's a very baseline animalistic feeling, at least for
Right.
me, from a male perspective.
That's across the board.
Cool. So I know so physical attraction, I know what that feels like. I know
Right.
what it feels like to like somebody as like a person where
Hmm.
we have the same values and stuff, like and I get along with this woman, and it's like I don't have to try or pretend. I feel very safe and comfortable with this woman. I know what
Yeah.
that feels like.
Right.
I so, but love, I don't know what that is outside of a familial context. Like I know it feels like to love my father and my brothers and my family. I don't know what romantic love feels like.
Honestly, okay. So I'll go back in time. Um, Before, I would have probably said that love is being able to know for a fact that you want to go through life with a person. I feel like we hear that all the time,
Mm.
but that was my thought process at the time. When I think it was our third year of dating, you start coming up with like baby names and you want to
We had dated for 3 years.
on and off.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Two, the first one was strong, second one wasn't, the third one was very shaky. Um, so 3 years on and off we dated. And at one point it just made sense. That's the only way I could describe it. It in my mind, it made sense that I wanted to do life with this person. It surpassed that feeling of comfortability. Because at some point you can get uncomfortable with someone that you're
Mm.
comfortable around. And I wasn't experiencing that. I wasn't experiencing like the fatigue of being with the same person. Me personally, I used to struggle with long-term relationships. He was my longest term relationship. Um, and then if there was like a timeline, I would start with those 2 points, and then I would put the whole, then you start planning out life. This is what I would like to do at this age with this person. I want to be able to have children with you, yada yada bing bang. I feel like now, especially as I'm not sure if the right term would be like a reformed Christian, because I grew up in church all my life, and you're always told God is love, God is love, God is love. But what does that really mean? And First Corinthians 13, I think it's 4 through 8. Love is it's an action word. It's patient, it's kind, it's not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It's sacrificial. It's not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. And I feel like that goes against everything that is a part of our human nature. We're
I would
very
agree.
selfish. We're quick to get angry. We steal. We wrong each other all the time. All of these things that are not love. So, like you said, like we know what it's like to not be in love, but when you're able to actually demonstrate these things and you want to demonstrate them with the same person, that's love. I would say, I'm really not trying to put all my business out there like that, but um love, be in love was a struggle, and I think it was a struggle because these attributes, or these actions I should say, were not being practiced, if I can say that without divulging too much out
Yeah, no, you
of.
never go into anything.
Okay, so those were not being demonstrated. And obviously I'm not just going to put it all on him. It was on both parts. What else does it say? Love never gives up, it doesn't lose faith, it's always hopeful and endures. And I think that's the biggest part that we struggle with, is endurance, seeing things through, making sure like, okay, I made this choice, I'm gonna stick it out. Yeah, it's not roses and freaking cotton candy. Now it's real. And I think when it becomes real and you still want to demonstrate patience and kindness and perseverance with a person, that's love. Because lust goes away, it goes and it comes, it goes and it comes. You have to keep things fresh. The same thing, well, lust and attraction, you have to keep those fresh. You have to choose to
Yeah,
continue to love a person every single day. So now that I know that, my viewpoint of love is completely different. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
no. It sounds like you're saying almost that love is kind of a like you got you got somebody coming
I don't know who
a
that is.
package.
No, that's
I,
my knowledge.
I,
Oh, terrible timing.
no, I was saying it sounds like you're saying almost like love is the result of something, where it's kind of like you describing like certain that certain action that you take where um uh you hold them in esteem. It's not boastful. You it's sacrificial. It's but I guess my question would still be like, when would you feel it though? Like, so is it like I feel this thing now, boom, I'm in love? Is it
Mm.
uh kind of like a slow build where I kind of work my way up to love, or
I
um
think individually, like from my, I would think that it's, oh my goodness. All right, without going like long-winded, because of my life experiences, especially this year alone, it would have to be something that's gradual. I'm not gonna instantly be like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely in love with this person, because I know the mistakes that have occurred thinking that way, thinking that I knew for sure, like, this is love, this is exactly what I'm gonna roll with. I know that, like, I know what not to go for. I know what love is not, I should say. So I personally think that love is a gradual build, because of the fact that it's something that has to, I'm not performed, but it's a verb. It's something that has to be done. It's something that has to be poured into and built over time.
got you. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I was asking more so just for myself.
Mhm.
You know, just like I wonder if I'll ever like love somebody, and the fear of, because my biggest fear of like ever like getting with somebody long term or like starting a family is just waking up one day and like not feeling love, and then wanting to blow it all up.
Well, dang. I would say the closest thing to that is when people, because I feel like you hear that a lot, especially like with relationships that are like 5 years plus,
Hmm.
because the spark does die down. Like, we're humans, like we get bored, we get tired, we get monotonous. You could come in with like all of this grandeur, and then a year or two later, you're a completely different person. And depending on what you go through as a couple, that changes things too. And that changes your perspective. And I feel like older couples are always telling us that like things, the person that you met in year one is not the same person at year 10. They're not the same person at year 20 and so on and so forth. So I feel, not even I feel, because again, my life experiences, when it gets to the point where you're starting to wake up and you're just like, this is not, it's not working for me.
Mm-hmm.
My advice is don't jump to, it's not working. I'm automatically going down to the courthouse and filing. Why is it not working? Have you had a discussion? Have you tried counseling?
Yeah.
Did you get married for the right reasons? In the sense of, were you sure that this was the person, or did you get married out of convenience? Because that is a thing. Did you get married because you settled in the sense of like not regular settling, but settled because it's just like I have no other options. I'm tired of waiting. I just want to dive in feet first. I'm not even gonna look,
Yeah.
you know? So those things have to be considered. And my best advice is you have to figure out why it's not working. And then if you have like, I don't want to say a plausible reason, but like if it's a reason that makes sense, in the sense of like she's cheating, or I don't know, you want to go cheat, or there's certain aspects that are not being reached, or boundaries that are not being respected, and they're just not willing to meet you where you're at, there's nothing wrong with ending it.
Got you. Yeah,
Where's your head at these days?
no. I just listen. I just think about like, am I a relationship guy? Because I feel like I want the love that comes from a relationship, but I feel like the I just end up feeling trapped. And it was always that way since I was a teenager. That was kind of the thing with me and Shannon. It was like
Mm-hmm. I
I wanted her
remember.
to love me, huh?
I remember.
I wanted her to love me, but I would just feel trapped. It didn't take long either. It was just like the idea of I don't know what is it like, just rules, or just somebody having say over my life and actions just makes me freak out.
That's
And
the thing though. It's not over your life. And I think the whole our viewpoint when it comes to accountability really messes us up, because we kind of view, I can't speak for you, but I I feel in general, and just my own personal, like just growing up, I feel like having to be accountable is like I'm not able to make my own choices or think for myself. But to be accountable is to be responsible, is to demonstrate love, because you're willing to be open and vulnerable with that person and say, you know what? Yes, you asked me to take out the trash and I did not do it. Nope, sorry. That's communication. That's showing that you respect the person, you know. And I'm wondering why you're having this thought lately. If, because that's the thought of, are you a relationship man? Like what's changed that's your thought
um
process?
I mean, I'm older. I'll be 30 next month.
Shut
uh
up. You're
I
still
will.
young. So it's
No,
just
but
like
30 is kind of a place where the decisions you make, this is what it is. Like, you
true.
know, you want kids, it comes now. Like, you know, you don't want kids, you should decide now, right? Like why, if you don't want kids, you might as well get a vasectomy in your 30s. If you want
Oh my
kids,
goodness.
you should, like, because then what if you slip up, make a mistake, now you have a kid, so might as well decide now. And also, you don't want to be the old dad as well. Like,
Why not? Some
no,
guys are okay with that. No.
no. You don't want to be the old dad. Like,
That
no.
kind of goes back to the whole living your life how you feel like it until you're ready, because some guys want to get it out their system and then I'm ready to raise a kid at like 50. I don't know why, but yeah,
Yeah, but do those guys really get out their system? I don't know.
I don't
Um,
know. I don't
yeah,
know either.
it's more so just like, it's figuring out which way I want my the path you walk down if you want a family is different than the path you walk down if you don't. Like, A, you
Yeah, I
have to
agree.
find a spouse, which means you have to start taking certain things more seriously, like dating and things of that nature. Because unlike women, as the man, you have to go find this person. You have to be proactive. Uh, so there's that, and it's more so just me being kind of introspective about because I want to know what it feels like. I think sometimes, other times I'm like, I'm probably not missing out on much because I don't risk relationships. I'm not really harmed. Like I haven't been harmed by a relationship because I haven't really had any as an adult.
Honestly, that's a blessing.
So, so,
I'm
so,
just going. I'm not gonna
so
hold
I've never, so I've never experienced love, but I've never experienced like adult heartbreak, like crying because somebody cheated on me or a woman left me or as an adult I've never experienced that.
It's a gamble. It is a gamble,
Yeah.
and some people cash in, some people don't.
Yeah. But thank you for another episode. This was pretty good. I didn't mean to
Yeah.
spring on the serious thing at the end. It was just on my mind. So I was like, maybe I should
Right.
just ask Saryn this question while I was on my mind. I was definitely
Right.
thinking about it during the week. Uh
I really want to know why.
I'll tell you after we finish. But
Uh-huh. I figured.
I mean,
Oh, Brittany.
I did tell the truth. I didn't want to say the person's. You don't know her, but uh,
So I don't
you know,
care.
no, there's a woman who I'm I like her.
Interested in.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like her. Um, I don't know if I want to go all in on a relationship though, because I just don't know if I am that guy, for a relationship.
I just have one question.
Sure.
Am I still getting my cookies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Your cookies are separate from my emotional turmoil, Saryn.
Oh, that's so sad for you.
Yeah. But yeah.
JK, guys. But no, like I,
um.
I go hard for my McDonald's cookies. So just want to make
Oh
sure those
yes, yes, and just we were talking about real cookies, by the way, like
were because
actual.
I was like, that
Yeah,
sounds crazy.
I know, yeah, real, real. We're talking about actual in the oven cookies. This is not a euphemism for anything. All right.
Oh my goodness. All right, it's
Uh,
time. Bye, y'all.
yeah. So we will see you guys in a week's time, hopefully. Until then, be safe. Make sure you listen to Saryn's new single that she just dropped. It's really good.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yes, really good. But until then, deuces.
Bye.